my God, it is Quando, y'all. It's got to be. They talking about it was the rapper that performed at the Vibe at the club. They talking about it was Quando. Look at all them bullets. Yeah, they got them picking up bullets.
Shots fired, a fight taken to the streets, and this chaotic scene, the ending of a shooting that started in Los Angeles, California. Sheriff's deputies pulling out a man who had been shot in an SUV. Savannah rapper Quando Rondo, a passenger in that car, frantic at the sight.
Slide from one comments. I don't know if people still say it.
For some reason, I just don't see them comments no more. You be seeing them comments a lot?
They kind of chilled out a little bit.
I wonder why.
Most people only know of the one time Lil Durk allegedly went after Quando Rondo, which tragically led to the death of Lil Pab. But in reality, that's just scratching the surface of the attempts made on Quando's life.
Oh my God, it is Quando, y'all. It's got to be. They talking about it was the rapper that performed at the Vibe at the club. They talking about it was Quando.
Quando has just been incredibly lucky that each time the men Durk reportedly sent to handle the job didn't succeed, because with the number of close calls he's had, it's a miracle he's still alive today. So just how many times has Quando nearly lost his life? Let's dive deeper into the story. The infamous night when Quando Rondo's friend, Lil Tim, shot and offed King Von was just the beginning, igniting a cycle of violent retaliation attempts. Von wasn't just a rising star in the rap world. He was a respected and feared figure in the Chicago drill scene, and his death shook up more than just the music industry. For Quando, Lil Tim, and their associates, Von's death didn't just mean losing a peer. It meant that they could be marked targets for revenge, especially from Von's crew, OTF, and the larger circle of Chicago figures who were loyal to him. The tension only escalated when fans started the Slide for Von movement, a slogan used to taunt Durk and question why he hadn't yet avenged Von's death. The phrase comes in part from one of Von's famous lyrics where he raps that if he dies, his people would be sliding every day to avenge him and raise the murder rate.
And if I should die, I'm boosting the murder rate. My niggas gon' slide every day.
Then there's Lil Durk's line on Pooh Shiesty's Back in Blood where he says, if the KR isn't dead, you can't wear an RIP shirt. These lyrics became fuel for fans to pressure Durk to make a move, though it's likely he didn't need that extra push to want revenge for his close friend's death. Durk even seemed to acknowledge the situation when, in an interview, he hinted that he had in fact slid for Von.
The slide from one comments. I don't know if people still say it.
For some reason, I just don't see them comments no more. You be seeing them comments a lot?
They kind of chilled out a little bit.
I wonder why.
Quando Rondo himself didn't exactly make things easier for himself after King Von's death. Instead, he kept provoking Von's people, practically putting a target on his own back. Quando released a new song titled End of Story, which seemed like a direct nod and diss to Von's popular Crazy Story series. The title alone made fans see it as a way of saying that Quando and his crew had ended Von's story, adding more fuel to the tension. To make things even more provocative, the cover art for End of Story featured a photo of Quando and Lil Tim from a music video shoot taken just before the fatal night when Von was offed. In End of Story, Quando gives his side of the incident, airing out his frustration about the backlash Lil Tim faced for defending him by opening fire. Quando rapped about how, in his view, other people's friends would have left them behind instead of defending them the way Tim did for him. He added that if the roles were reversed and he had been the one offed by Von's people, fans would probably be celebrating rather than condemning.
I still ain't got my point across. If the shoe was on the other foot, they wouldn't have said it.
In the song, Quando also outright claims that Lil Tim did nothing wrong, saying that if people don't have friends who'd protect them the way Tim did, they shouldn't keep them around. But he didn't stop there. He continued to drop lines that seemed like direct shots at Von and his crew from O-Block. One of the most disrespectful lines in the song says, "Blood on your brother on the ground, go and pick your mans up," while he and Tim claim self-defense. Quando even rapped that Von shouldn't have put his hands on him, adding a taunt about a supposed $1 million bounty that had been put on his head.
Brother on the ground, go pick your mans up. Downright we screaming self-defense, he should've never put his hands.
And in a jab at his new ops from Chicago, He rapped, "Is that all you got? Why not make it 8 million?" This line may have sounded casual, but given Lil Durk's wealth and connections, a rumored bounty coming from this crew was not something to brush off lightly. The tension got even worse in the days after Von's death when rumors spread that Lil Durk had bought up all the tickets to Quando's next show, which was supposed to happen on November 28th in Georgia. The event was ultimately canceled, and the venue, Shock Flow Entertainment Center, informed fans that the cancellation was due to Quando's legal situation. To add to the intensity, rapper 600 Breezy took to his IG story the day End of Story dropped, challenging Quando to stop canceling shows and daring him to perform the song live. But despite the heat in the streets and the music world, Quando and his crew didn't seem ready to let things cool down. On November 24th, Quando posted a cryptic tweet saying, "We gon' see," leaving fans to wonder if more drama was coming. But Quando wasn't the only one taking shots in music. Just a week after End of Story was released, Lil Durk teased his own track, Hellcats and Trackhawks, on November 27, 2020. In a snippet, Durk's lyrics suggested that he and his crew were ready to catch Quando at his shows, a possible reference to the rumor that Durk had bought all the tickets to Quando's recent gig. Later, when the full version of Hellcats and Trackhawks dropped, it included even more lyrics where Durk seemed to hint at plans to catch up with Lil Tim and get revenge.
Hellcats and Trackhawks, they got Timmy on the turn up and a blast on.
Durk also dropped a line directed at either Quando or NBA Youngboy, rapping that he's not feeling people's favorite rapper. The very next day on November 28th, the same day Quando's original show was scheduled to happen, the mayor of Monroe, Georgia, canceled the performance. Quando then went live from a gas station, posting a menacing clip where he claimed to be there with his whole team from Jump Out Gang and the Rollin' 60s Crips, saying they were armed and ready if anything went down.
And the police done cancel the show, cuz. That shit got me blowed. Cause we been ready. On 6-0, we've been ready to put under.
Following the show's cancellation, 600 Breezy was quick to laugh at Quando on Instagram, mocking him and calling him a on Twitter. This didn't sit well with Quando's crew, and Lil Pop responded with some bold tweets, claiming that people in their city who once admired the 33rd Street crew had now turned on them after King Von's death. He even seemed to address 600 Breezy directly, tweeting "F your dead friend," and saying he'd spit on his ops when he saw them in real life. The next day, Quando fired back with another video clip on social media, this time wearing a mask and holding a rifle, claiming he was in Chicago and daring his enemies to pull up.
And that rap right now, pull up, you get what I'm saying?
In response to Quando's claims about being in Chicago, 600 Breezy took things further by dropping his own address and daring Quando and his crew to show up. With rumors flying around that Quando canceled his show because he was scared to perform, Quando tried to put an end to the talk by calling his promoter on the phone and sharing footage that allegedly proved the promoter, not him, was behind the cancellation.
Check this out. Listen, I got the promoter on the phone right now. This is the promoter from last night, right here on the phone. All right, check this out, bit bro. Please tell these folks I did not cancel no show, bit bro.
Nah, man, Quando ain't canceled. Man, the police and the mayor came at the last minute. They came at 9 o'clock saying we couldn't do the show.
However, some fans speculated the footage was fake due to a date stamp from 2018, though it could have been a time sync issue with the security camera. The pressure to constantly defend himself online must have worn on Quando because he eventually deleted his Instagram. But the drama wasn't over. Just over a week later, on December 7th, alleged DMs began circulating that seemed to show Quando pleading with Lil Durk to end the feud, saying he couldn't do shows with all this heat on him. Durk's supposed reply was just as ominous: "Stay safe." Quando later returned to social media and denied that the DMs were real, calling them fake, but the rumors kept intensifying. Then, a day after the supposed DMs leaked, Lil Durk and King Von's close friend Mimo600 turned up the heat even more. He posted a picture in front of a sign in Savannah, Georgia, Quando's hometown, basically announcing that he was there looking for him. Mimo even went live at a Savannah gas station, showing off a gun and claiming he had all the cares with him. To drive the point home, he even imitated Quando's previous video where he stood at a gas station with his crew.
I'm in Savannah. On Waldo, we in Savannah, boy. We're in a M-Mart somewhere, gas station.
Die today, cuz! Cuz! I came to die today, cuz! I can't leave my daughter all type.
Your
After all the back and forth and public challenges, Quando eventually decided to schedule a new concert date for May 1st, 2021 in Waycross, Georgia. This show wasn't just about performing, it was a message. He wanted everyone, fans, rivals, and those who doubted him, to see that he could still show up, perform, and live his life without being scared. However, the reality would prove more complicated. On May 1st, Quando took the stage in Waycross, Georgia, but the turnout was surprisingly sparse. Clips surfaced of Quando performing to a nearly empty venue, and Quando himself acknowledged the disappointing turnout, even commenting on it to his fans. Despite the low attendance, he expressed gratitude to those who showed up.
I ain't gonna lie. Man, my show was really big, you feel me? People at this, but I know I got a lot of going on, you feel me? But I still appreciate everybody who came out.
But the low turnout would soon become the least of Quando's worries. As the night progressed and Quando and his team left the venue, they made a stop at a Circle K gas station in the nearby town of Blackshear, just 11 minutes away. Around 3:20 a.m., while Quando and his entourage were parked in the gas station lot, someone began to open fire from across the street. Reports indicate that the barrage was intense, with over 100 bullets fired at Quando and his crew. At least one person was hit during the shooting, sustaining a gunshot wound to the hand and ending up in the hospital. Quando, however, managed to flee the scene before authorities arrived. As news spread, bystanders at the scene began to document the aftermath, posting videos of the crime scene to social media. In one widely shared clip, a woman can be heard narrating the situation, telling viewers that they were at the scene of the Quando Rondo shooting.
Oh my God, it is Quando, y'all. It's got to be. They talking about it was the rapper that performed at the Vibe, at the club. They talking about it was Quando.
She noted that the gunfire had been so loud that people down the street had heard it clearly, even walking up to bullet markers left by authorities to indicate where shell casings were found.
Look at all them bullets. Yeah, they got down picking up bullets.
It was unclear who exactly was responsible for the shooting. Shortly after the incident, a gang from Savannah known as S8K, or the Section 8 Kids, posted a cryptic message online with a caption reading, "Get Back Gang." This phrase carries significant weight in Chicago's gang landscape, as it's the name associated with King Von's own group, known for its emphasis on revenge. Adding to the intrigue, the post featured audio from Lil Durk's track Hellcats and Trackhawks, in which Durk raps about catching someone lacking at a show, lyrics that eerily echoed the circumstances of the attack on Quando. Whether S8K was directly claiming responsibility for the ambush or simply celebrating what they saw as a successful strike on Durk's behalf is still unclear. However, one prominent Black Disciple member based in Georgia did appear to claim responsibility for the shooting on social media, again fueling speculation that this was an act associated with Lil Durk's camp, considering Durk's long-standing connections to the Black Disciples, a group to which Von was a high-profile affiliate. After the incident, Lil Pop dismissed the situation on social media. In a tweet, he brushed off the shooting, advising his rivals to live life to the fullest and not let one person stress them out so much. The day after the shooting, Pop doubled down by posting a picture of himself looking unfazed. In a later interview, Quando himself addressed the threats against his life, making it clear that he wasn't intimidated. He claimed that death threats didn't faze him, given that he's always armed and prepared.
Death threat all you want to, man, bro. That's just some words, man. Do be an action. I'm going home to my daughter.
Right.
And if I didn't, God called me.
Right.
But I'm going home to my daughter, bro. I'm not even the type of person to move without a firearm.
But despite these challenges, Quando Rondo was determined to press forward with his music career. On May 7th, 2021, he released his 6th mixtape, Still Taking Risks, his first full-length project since the altercation that led to King Von's death. The mixtape was laden with references to the fallout from that incident and the immense consequences that had followed. Even after the shooting following his concert in Waycross, Quando showed no signs of backing down. He continued to taunt his rivals, showing his commitment to disrespecting his enemies. And he wasn't alone in this. Lil Tim shared the same defiant attitude. On May 8th, 2021, Quando went live with Lil Tim, where they expressed frustration with their opponents and the industry itself, accusing people of trying to blackball them from music. During the live session, they boasted about smoking Purple Baby and other enemies, sending a clear message that they weren't intimidated by the Chicago hitters rumored to be targeting them.
Real purple babies for real, man. Gotta start smoking motherfucking black babies around this bitch. bitch, cuz. Man, I'm pissed off, AJ. You gotta get up. These no. Boy, they cannot get that big straight up, ain't it, bit, bro?
As time passed, speculation swirled around the rumored $1 million bounty on Quando's head. In September, a clip surfaced showing Quando strolling through Walmart alone without any security, leading people to wonder whether the bounty was real or just another rumor.
As you all know him as, came to my job, he was by himself. Everybody is making comments saying he's supposed to be on the run. He is living life, as you can see, having fun.
Despite the chatter, Quando seemed unfazed, continuing to live life as usual, publicly dismissing the threats against him. Meanwhile, Lil Durk was feeling the heat from the Slide for Von movement. Fans repeatedly pressured him to seek revenge for King Von's death, fueled by a lyric of Von's about his people avenging him. Finally, on October 8th, 2021, Durk seemed to respond in the remix of Who Wants Smoke with Nardo Wick. Durk rapped that people keep taunting him to slide for Von, but implied he had already retaliated. Fans just didn't know it.
They be on my page like slap for Von, I know they trolling me. Keep the folks with me, got it back in blood, y'all just don't know that's how it supposed to be.
He even hinted at people dying pumping gas, a possible nod to the shooting of Quando at the gas station earlier that year. It seemed Durk was subtly trying to quash the relentless calls for him to slide for Von by hinting he'd already done so. Then, in August 2022, it appeared Durk had allegedly taken action once again, this time resulting in the death of Quando's friend Lil Pob. It was August 18th, and Quando Rondo had just landed in LA with his crew, which included his sister and his cousin Lil Pob. Like many rappers in the game, Quando followed the common tradition of tapping in with local affiliates whenever you're in their city. Quando is connected with a Crip set in LA, so naturally he reached out to let them know he was there. Who he tapped in with exactly isn't clear, but it's pretty typical to connect with your own set for safety, especially if you're known in the streets. But things took a dark turn after this. Not long after he tapped in, OTF and Lil Durk's crew allegedly had not only Quando's location but also where he was staying and all the details of his itinerary. Now it's still up in the air how OTF got this information so quickly. Was it just a coincidence, or did someone leak the info? Either way, as soon as Quando landed, it seemed like OTF was suddenly aware of his every move. After learning Quando's whereabouts, it said that Durk's people moved fast. Flights, rental cars, private jets, everything was booked urgently, as OTF members rushed to LA. The urgency wasn't random either. Reports say that a bounty had been placed on Quando's head, allegedly by a co-conspirator 1, the main person financing this operation. Many speculate that co-conspirator 1 is actually Lil Durk, given his high rank and resources in OTF. It's his label, his credit cards that were reportedly used for booking all of this. Flights, hotels, rental cars. The setup seemed all too organized, with multiple people involved in what looks like a revenge mission.
We believe that co-conspirator 1 seems to be aiming at somebody who's a boss within the OTF organization that could call that could put money up and also promise music opportunities. Aiming at someone who would be Durk, or could be Durk's brother who passed. But the only person living would be Durk. It could be Durk.
Once OTF landed in LA, they moved like clockwork. They got what they needed: cars, hotels, ski masks, firearms. They even communicated using coded messages to avoid suspicion. Eventually, they all gathered near Quando's hotel, knowing his entire schedule, even when and where he'd be heading next. On the day of the ambush, Quando was driving a black Escalade, with OTF members tailing him in a white BMW. They tracked him discreetly, trailing his every move. It's said that Quando wasn't even aware he was being followed. When they finally caught up with him at a gas station, they wasted no time. OTF's crew parked nearby, hopped out, and began firing. The tragic part is, Quando himself was inside the vehicle, but his cousin, Lil Pob, was outside when the shots rang out. Pob was hit, but Quando was fortunate enough to make it through unharmed. However, their actual target, Quando, escaped without a scratch, while his cousin didn't survive.
Shots fired, a fight taken to the streets, and this chaotic scene, the ending of a shooting that started in Los Angeles, California. Sheriff's deputies pulling out a man who had been shot in an SUV. Savannah rapper Quando Rondo, a passenger in that car, frantic at the sight.
Afterward, the crew gathered at a food spot to settle the financials. They talked about how the money from this hit would be split up who would get what share, and once everything was sorted, they quickly left LA and headed straight back to Chicago. Now, Lil Durk had set himself up to stay clear of any direct ties to the whole situation. He made sure to tell the crew, look, even though you're using the OTF credit cards, don't book anything under my name, my family's name, or anyone remotely linked to me. Durk's intent was to be nowhere in the official paper trail, and the reason we know he specifically instructed co-conspirator 3, who many think is cooperating with the feds, is because this person was tasked with booking the private jet for OTF. Durk wanted to make it clear, don't use his name for anything, and keep him out of it as much as possible. Once the crew got back, the payments were handled by another OTF member, likely OTFD. He was the one in charge of making sure everyone involved was paid and kept quiet, so Durk wouldn't need to get involved in any direct dealings. And for a while, it looked like things were going according to plan. That is, until someone started talking. And that's where OTF Jam comes into the picture. Prominent figures in the hip-hop community, including Wack 100 and DJ Academics, have openly discussed the rumors about OTF Jam. Wack 100, during an interview on Vlad TV, provided some background on Jam's situation, stating he did 12 years, got out, interviewed, said he kept it real, brought him cars, gave him $50,000, made mention that ain't no smudge on his name, he ain't never been a rat, caught a gun case, but eventually he flipped.
Damn.
Did 12 years.
12
got
years.
out, interviewed, said he kept it real, brought him cars, gave him $50,000.
Right.
Made mention that ain't no smut on his name, he ain't never been a rat. Caught a gun case, but eventually he flipped.
DJ Vlad added fuel to the conversation, agreeing with Wack and saying he had allegedly been wearing a wire for the last 2 years.
OTF Jam did 12 years for attempted murder. He got out in 2022, right around the same time of the Quando situation. And he allegedly had been wearing a wire for the last 2 years.
I'm 22 to 24.
Additionally, Chicago rapper King Yella also shared his thoughts, saying he had heard from a source within OTF that someone had snitched on Durk, specifically naming OTF Jam.
But I heard somebody named OTF Jam, they said they've been calling him a rat, and basically he said, okay, I'm a rat. Well, watch this. Watch this, Devin.
As if to confirm this further, multiple blogs and media outlets are reporting that OTF Jam's name is actually listed in the indictment as a police informant, making these accusations appear even more credible. With Jam cooperating, the feds had all they needed. They began putting together who made the call, who was in the car, who covered the flights, and all the other details they'd been missing. So now, things are looking tense for Durk. The details are lining up against him, and while he's managed to keep himself distanced from the paperwork trail, the feds have a lot more connecting dots than before.